So I have good news and bad news. Good news is the pain that I've been experiencing in what turns out to be my ribs, what I thought was my lungs and felt like the ribs, and for once actually turns out to be the ribs, is not due to the progression of the cancer as we initially believed. Turns out I have a fractured rib. Yay! So my initial thought when they told me that was, oh, must have happened when I fell, but I'm like, wait, I fell and convulsed after the pain started, so that can't have been it. So basically, the explanation is when you take steroids for an extended period of time, which I have been doing for at this point, I don't know, at least 2 months to reduce the swelling in my head, one of the side effects of that is brittle bones. So apparently I cracked or fractured or I don't know the exact term to use, but anyway, damaged my ribs by doing nothing. I'm pretty sure it was coughing because, there was a little pain in the beginning, but not really that much. And I remember a moment where I coughed, and when you cough wrong and it kind of like hurts? It was that. And I'm like, oh, I guess, I just coughed wrong, whatever. And then after that, the pain was just more intense. So I figured like, oh, okay, whatever, coughed wrong. It's the tumor that's pressing up against the nerve endings and it feels like it's in the ribs, even though it's in the lungs. But no, turns out it's the ribs. And turns out that I fractured or bruised or cracked or whatever you want to call it, a rib by coughing. So that's a new experience. That never happened to me before. So the good news is it's not cancer related. The bad news is because it's not and it's a fractured rib, that means it can potentially take months before it heals and the pain goes away. So luckily for now, the pain isn't that intense. It's definitely bearable. Like I don't need to take any pain meds or anything. But yeah, I'm not looking forward to months and months of this. So hopefully it's not going to last months. So yeah, there was also more updates at the hospital. I don't know if I should share it in this video or wait till I have more info. But you know what? Since the whole point of this is share the journey, and I just found out, let's go ahead, let's share it. So, that's one of the things I found out. So the good news is the pain is not cancer related. The bad news is, which we already kind of knew and were expecting, is the shortness of breath is cancer related. It is most likely due to the growth of the largest tumor. So at the moment, even though they had a little more time to compare the two different scans, they didn't have the time to measure and compare everything, so they don't know exactly. What they can tell me is, yes, the biggest one has grown bigger, as we already knew. A few others have grown, some have stayed the same, some have shrunk. So basically mixed results. He wasn't able to tell me like overall, is it better? Is it worse? Is it the same? He couldn't really tell me. He's like, for now, let's just focus on the big one because that's the most important one. Because at this stage, seeing how it's causing side effects, seeing how it's causing the shortness of breath, this is something we need to address. We need to figure this out. So at the moment, I still don't have any clear answers. I spoke to the radiologist today, and they're going to discuss everything tomorrow. They have a panel of doctors that they meet with every single week on Friday, and they discuss different patients and different options and everything. So they're like, at the moment, we haven't decided. We're going to discuss everything tomorrow, and then on Monday, we'll let you know what we think is the best option. So once again, I don't really have any answers, and Monday is also the day where I'm going to meet my oncologist, and he's going to explain or present what he believes is the best option immunotherapy wise, because as I mentioned in the last couple of videos, we have a few different options. One option is because we stopped for 2 months because of the steroids that I was on and I'm still on, but we had to stop for 2 months because the level was too high and doing immunotherapy would be pointless. So there was a period of 2 months where we weren't able to do immunotherapy. So my logical assumption is that's why the cancer progressed. That's why that tumor got bigger. That's why it's pressing against the bronchi. That's why I have breathing issues, and that's why they're considering radiotherapy as a treatment for that. The radiologist that I spoke to today agrees that does make sense, but once again, we can never know anything for sure. And the one who'd be in a better position to be able to determine that is my oncologist, and I'm going to speak to him on Monday, and we're going to discuss everything. So Monday is really the day I get all the answers, which is why I was hesitating. I'm like, should I share everything now or just wait on Monday and then share all the information? But yeah, like I said, I'm just sharing it as it goes. So all that to say, one option when it comes to immunotherapy is we keep doing treatments, a couple more just to see, is it because we stopped for 2 months that there was a growth, or is it because your body is getting used to this specific drug and it's not reacting as well? So then the option would be, let's switch to a different molecule and see how you react to that. Maybe you'll have better results. So that's what I'm going to discuss with my oncologist on Monday, and we'll see what the plan is for that, and I'll give you an update whenever I have that information. Regarding the growth of the biggest tumor in my lungs, one option would be radiotherapy. So he explained everything today, how it would work. So there would be 5 sessions, and we would target just that specific area. Because the thing about radiotherapy is, once you do it, you can't come back and redo it later on, which is exactly why they need to get together and discuss it and decide, is now the best time to do it? Should we wait, monitor things, and then if we see that it gets worse, then we can go in and treat it? And at the moment, that seems to me, given everything he said, that seems to me like that's the direction they're leaning in, simply because right now, the symptoms that I'm experiencing, the shortness of breath, is not that intense. It is definitely bearable. It's not fun, don't get me wrong. I don't enjoy being out of breath just from walking, but it's bearable. It's not like I'm just, in the beginning a couple weeks ago, I was out of breath just sitting there. Well, that seems to have gotten better, which in my opinion is a good thing. And given everything they've told me, waiting and just monitoring and doing scans every once in a while and just tracking everything and seeing how things progress seems like the best option. Obviously, they're going to discuss everything. They're the experts. They're going to make whatever recommendation they think is best. But that seems to be the direction we're leaning in, and it's also the direction that I personally prefer, simply because, well, I trust in my body to heal itself. I still have that exact same belief of I am going to be cured by this time next year. And, it's all part of the process. Everything's great. Plus, there's always potential side effects of radiotherapy. Any kind of medical procedure, there's always potential side effects. So I always prefer to avoid that as much as I can. Just like I always prefer to avoid taking medications as much as I can. That's exactly why, even though they're like, hey, when you're on steroids for an extended period of time, there is an increased risk that you could develop pneumonia. And given the fact that, I have cancer in my lungs, that is something we really want to avoid. So they gave me some, what's it called? Anyway, whatever they give you to, I have the pill bottle here somewhere so I can look, and anyway, whatever. The stuff to avoid getting sick and getting pneumonia and stuff like that. So anyway, I completely forgot the term, what that's called. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So all that to say, I have a lot of information, much more than I had a couple hours ago before I spoke to the doctor, but no decision has been taken. But most of it is good news. It seems like the option we're going to go for is let's just kind of like wait it out, see how things progress, see how things go. The pain is not due to the cancer, which is really good. So yeah, overall, that was a pretty productive visit. I'll just have all the official answers on Monday, and I'll let you guys know then. So until then, Hopefully you don't have bruised ribs because that sucks.